Today I'm going to recap a little bit where we are with IBM Workload Automation, where we are with our strategy, some of the latest enhancements of the latest releases that probably nobody has installed yet, but at least you can get a glance of what we are working on. So most of you know me, so I will skip the agenda. A very short description of the automation market trends, particularly related to what is called today, at least by Gartner, service orchestration and automation platform. It is basically the new way to call workload automation. We know that there's a cyclic change of the name of the, it used to be batch scheduling, workload automation. Now it's service orchestration and automation platforms. But there's a reason why, and that's because it's no more just workload automation, but it's a more broader orchestration. So that's one of the points I always highlight. So nowadays there's much more need to have a broader orchestration that is linking jobs, data pipelines, perhaps through integrations, or some of the integrations that we provide on the Automation Hub. There's need to link with cloud resources, business processes. So this is a trend that I also see looking at other kind of products that are more in the area of business process automation. The trend is really that we are merging all kinds of different orchestration towards just one type of general orchestration. So the tools, there used to be IT automation tools, workload automation, and business process automation are kind of merging and overlapping a lot. So basically in the future, you will be able to do whatever orchestration you want to do with one tool. At least this is, in general, our strategy. Because it's always been like people were using workload automation also to automate business processes. But now it's becoming more and more important to have a centralized control and end-to-end orchestration, the capabilities for self-service, to enable business users to directly execute their workloads, their job streams, workflows, whatever we want to call them. And then there is this agentic AI transformation that is kind of incumbent on us. Although it's very far from traditional workload automation customers, but we don't know whether it's going to be needed to be able at least to orchestrate AI agents from a workload automation tool. And this should be pretty easy to do.
Yes.
So basically, I summarize all the concepts. There is need for centralized control. There is need for an API, an integration ecosystem. There is need to involve business users in the usage of the products with obviously dedicated UIs. It's impossible to think about a business users that just logins to the dynamic workflow console as a standard user or as a batch scheduler. And I would be curious if any of you customers have started looking at the possibility to include AI agents to automate some parts of their processes. So if that is a trend that you already see in your organization, or if it's just something you are heard about, but it's still very far from your interest. So in case you hear about it and you would like to know more about the possibility to include agentic AI in the orchestration executed through workload automation, just let us know, because we are ready to listen, let's say.
I think with most organizations, it's good to have it on the roadmap, but I don't see that as something that's going to happen overnight. It's not going to be in the near future, but it will be some point in the future.
I think the opposite side of that argument is, like my client, for example, is aggressively going to the cloud, aggressively looking at ways of optimizing process and business functions that they have in general. And one of the things they keep saying is, where's the automation that's going to help us do this fast? Where's the automation that's going to do this efficiently and productively? Because we want to reduce headcount, we want to improve process times, give us capacity back in, say, our overnight. Even looking at it from a bat, overnight bat, how can we do it? And kind of between a rock and a hard place, we're all on board with the principles of it. It's very difficult to A, find the skills, and B, find the right use cases to deliver the value that they might be looking for. Lay on top of that the strategic map that these clients are going for, which is fast, and they're going, oh well, I want to do this today, and then tomorrow the wind has blown, and they're going to do that now. They're going to change direction literally in the space of 48 hours. Yes. But they realise actually the complexity of the ask, the possible. Once they start pulling away the first couple of layers, actually no, we're never going to get there. It's going to cost too much money, or something else will be factored in, or another advancement over here in another part of the business is going, well, actually we want this direction, and then they're looking at where that return on investment actually comes from, in terms of which do they prioritise, or do they scale back on one to meet both. I think it's really important that it's on the roadmap, and it's really important that it's on the roadmap now. But there definitely needs to be some use cases to support its effectiveness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I understand that, and it's certainly in our roadmap. I think we can also in the future provide maybe example use cases where this could be interesting.
Yeah, there was well. Do you mean business uses or IT uses?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, for IT uses, we're dare I say it, at the moment, my teams are rinse and repeat. Business comes in saying we need to do X, Y, Z in the scheduler, we do it. But I think what you said earlier on, that the challenge is more about that orchestration piece, that broader piece. Is it, how do we bring, when I've got Ansible Tower, Jenkins, SECM, I've got all of these other automation tools and IT tools that are scheduling work and driving process, and I look at it and there's my account has 47 different tools. That needs to reduce, even if it doesn't cost me as a provider any money, but if I'm turning around to my client saying, well, we can bring this together, you invest here, the return on investment is we get rid of 20 of those tools, they will bite my arm off. I'm not armed with, certainly with the automation tool at the moment, how I can articulate that. How do I bring MFT in? One of the classic ones we've been talking about for the last couple of years. How do we bring managed file transfer into IWS? Where are we with that? Are we able now to go, we can do it all, for example? At the moment, I go, oh, that's really exciting. Oh, yeah, okay, it might be enough. We might be using another IBM product for MFT at the moment, but if we can consolidate, that will be really beneficial. And we've been able to, we spend a lot of our time going, yeah, well, we kind of can do that, but we can't do all of it.
Is that because our integrations are not sufficient to cover the capabilities you need?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But in that case, you should raise the requirements to us, because we can hear. I mean, we want to listen and understand what we need to do about it.
I think it's a bit of both, because I mean, if you look at the integrations, there's so many now.
And you should probably review where we are.
Yeah, having a use case for something like MFT, and then using AI technology.
So, I mean, I'll take it off on my account, but we obviously had a meeting on Monday, so IBM came in and did a roadmap presentation for MQ, IWS, and a few other things on Monday. It was kind of a run-of-the-mill thing we've done with IBM over the years, but actually, I think what you just said is probably where we needed to really go to. Because actually, as a client, what is your technical landscape now, and what does IWS actually do in that space that will help you?
Yeah.
Because they don't get it. We put in front. I mean, you were presenting IWS on Monday. We told them what IWS was, but they won't take that away and go, that's going to drive any value anywhere in their business. I knew it will because of my knowledge, but they wouldn't have. Yeah. I think that's the narrative we need to change. I think going back to the original thing around that AI is definitely part of the future we need to talk about.
The use cases has to prioritize IT rather than the business. Why would the business use workload automation for AI if IT aren't using it?
It's the idea, yeah.
So effectively, if you're using it for IT, it becomes your proof of concept for the business to say, this is what we've done in IT, this is what it saved us or improved the service. Then it gives the business a tangible result in terms of the benefit of using AI in workload automation. They can then apply that to their business need. So yeah, I think the first use cases has to be within IT.
Okay.
Sorry. We have structured teams. So we have an integration team. So they don't even look at workload scheduler as an option for it. We have IICS as our internal external file transfer solution. We're moving to an AWS solution now. We had no engagement in those conversations. They focus on what they think is the best product to their knowledge. So the whole file transfer sort of features of the product, there's no point us almost engaging in those conversations with them because they've got a preset determination. So, and they'll use whatever tool is that they'll see fit. Maybe we haven't pushed it hard enough to them, but that's the truth. You've got these teams that are specialised in their areas, and they'll choose the product that they think is specialist to their needs. And it's a balance, isn't it, between getting probably the best tool versus not having a million tools and reducing that cost and the efficiencies that come from
it. My strategy at the moment is I have an automation team in my platform tower, and they're doing some amazing work, and I've got some very, very clever people. And when you're looking at some of the output that's come from them recently, and I'm going, okay, so we could take a whole layer out if we actually integrated some of that Ansible functionality and used IWS to drive the deliveries or to improve the process so that it's not necessarily all at a code level that's then dependent on the individual who writes that code. So it's trying to get the balance between the expertise and what I'm going to need long term to ensure that there's an understanding, there's visibility and transparency of the process that we built. There's no point building something and they're going, wow, this is amazing, and then they leave and everyone goes, it was amazing when he was here.
Yeah, I think what you said actually makes a lot of sense. And what we've really been working on lately is expanding our use cases in terms of AI integration. We've actually been working with Leon in that regard, and we've been able to itemize few we've done, but we are definitely expanding our use cases just so our clients can do more. In terms of integration as well, we've basically been sort of focused now on more products within the IBM's or products on the ecosystem. So we are looking at Aspera at the moment. I think Apps Connect, and we're expanding as well. So what we've been doing is trying to see, okay, what clients are on, like have both products in their what's it called, environment. Let's say Aspera, IWA. I wanted to looking at asking, okay, are you currently leveraging on this integration? If you are, what are those use cases? If you're not, what would you like to see? Like, what are those pain points that we can resolve by integrating both together. So we're looking at more products within IBM's ecosystem and trying to create more integration, either through APIs or whichever other options are there. Document those use cases and just see, okay, how can we do more and help our clients to actually do more with this product. AI integrations, you're going to be seeing a lot in 2026. We've already started. We've had some recording done. If anyone attended Nordic session, user group.
I did not.
Okay, so my session was about our AI integration as well. So we're doing a lot in this regard. In 2026, you're going to be seeing a lot more.
Well, might be useful, excuse me, just as an aside, for the people online, Oliver, if you'd like to introduce yourself to seeing as most of the people are online.
Okay. Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, am I? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Molu Shagun. I'm one of the product managers for IBM Workload Automation. So I started, I think, early December last year. So I'm sort of 8 months in. Yeah, it's been a good experience so far. And we've really been working hard just to ensure that we improve what we currently have and to just deliver a better solution in terms of service orchestration, workload and workflows and orchestration. And in terms of, our messaging as well, just having this detailed, because as much as we're doing a lot, how we present it also matters. So we're doing a lot in that regards, and yeah, expect a lot in 2026. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Can I add for that from Lou? He's on the IBM side. So him and Nolan work together, just so everybody knows, you know. So, but yeah, I work a lot with him, and so does Leon and others with the team. So, and I'm going to add to this before, because the customers I talked to, I think the fourth bullet is big. A lot more customers are asking for that. They want to be more. They want AI to help them run their environment better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's where they ask a lot about ADA, which I think still needs, I know it's hopefully will add more function all the time. That's a big one. So I work a lot with customers coming to IWA, from another product, and there is things up there that, we should improve on. But I agree with the plugins. I think we need to review them all, because I think we've put a lot of them out. And now the use cases need to be reviewed to see if they actually, because I think there's a lot of them aren't being used.
Yeah, we need to advertise an example of use cases much more, because in that way we trigger ideas in our customers about what they can really do with the product.
I think one of the things I look at is if I take a different thing, take Microsoft Identity Management, for example. We've got people out there who can PowerShell script to the cows come home and can do amazing things with MIM at a native level. And then Microsoft realised, actually, there's a lot of overhead and investment and time and money and training and everything to get people to do native. So they brought out MIM Portal. And MIM Portal, by definition, just did all that intelligence for you. You just GUI-driven, click list, blah, blah, blah. And I actually do sometimes think with IWS, that's the bread and butter stuff now, certainly in distributed world, but the bread and butter stuff of an application wanting to run a process at this time, it should almost be driven by the application team. Shouldn't really, in 2025, need schedulers to be building a job that's just going to be added to a predecessor or a successor. It should almost be a case of the application said, I want job B to be before job C, after job A. Throw it into a form, bang, it's done.
Even nicer, it told you the impacts of adding that job in.
Exactly.
Is it going to delay other jobs? What's your deadlines? Is it going to meet deadline slipping? That's what
and I think that for me, I've got a team of people that are doing that, and they're talented young engineers who want to develop. Yes, I can send them down an admin route and get them doing them all the syspod stuff and so on and so forth. But that BAU bit, the fact that they're still having to sit there and go through a spreadsheet and then check it and go and reply and then it's just it's time and money and investment kind of being wasted on very talented young engineers in 2025. I need to find out what
But the thing is that the product has all of that built in, doesn't it? The what ifs, you know, the Gantt chart view and all this sort of stuff. So if you know where to go, and that's the skill level that gets built up by these people, take that out and put it into an AI, that would be perfect.
And
Well,
perhaps also
Because it's actually the app. We're a tool. By definition, we're called a tooling team for a reason. It's the application owner that's running that demand for the business that wants to be able to get that information straight away without having to raise an ITSM request to me and asking me to do this and have a look and then dig down and then I call you would flip it and go, oh well, here you are, this is how you do it, and they go, yeah, that's brilliant, great, turned off, gone back to sleep. They don't want it. They want it to be instant now. That's the reality.
Yes.
It's the self-service thing as well. So we don't use self-service, and there's a reason we don't use self-service, because we have third parties that are involved in our support that don't look beyond their nose.
Yeah.
So they'll just go, put this job in. This is what I want, put this job in.
Yeah.
And without considering the wider implications, like I said. So you don't allow self-service because we end up with chaos. So you need something to go, this is the impact, this is the, you know, and if you had an AI engine looking at that and being able to drive that and visualize that for them, that might help. You know, that enablement.
Yeah, I think it's point number 3 for me. Rather, I know 4 is important as well. It is that, can we get to self-service? And the agentic approach should allow us to get to the point where we can do this now, right? You know, doing some checks in the background, right? That's exactly. So I think, we need to work on these use cases, and then the plugins are at the back end. Sorry, I know we're overrunning. Well, not overrunning, but you know, it's a
conversation.
important point.
okay.
Sorry.
No, complete.
No, so I think you're right. So I think, you know, as the team here from, you know, HCL and IBM will work on that and come back with some options. But in the meantime, if you can feed anything in, and people online, I think you know my email address, please, you know, send any ideas or you know, an end-to-end flow that you'd like to see, or what you believe should be in from an agentic point of view, the agent, what it would look like, and please do send it in. And I should say as well, sorry, while I've got the chair, the chat's not working for some reason. I'll try and fix it after Marco's session. But if you do want to interrupt, please raise your hand on the in the Teams call, or just come off mute and we'll take your questions. So
don't be shy. You can interrupt and participate to the discussion. I think this was really useful and kind of tells me that these points are really relevant for the trends. And I'll come back to on this topic of self-service and you know, application developers perhaps doing themselves the work of defining the job streams in a moment, because I think it's part of what we are trying to do with the new graphic designer, but I'll come back to that. So I guess I can skip this one. Now we have been discussing a little bit. Now all this kind of new way to represent workload automation in more wider orchestration way. It's what Gartner calls SOAP, Service Orchestration and Automation Platform. And I just wanted to evaluate this accomplishment. IBM Workload Automation and HCL Workload Automation are still for the second year in a row in the Magic Quadrant, leaders in the Magic Quadrant for Service Orchestration and Automation Platform. So this is an important achievement. The EMA report is going to be delivered very soon, so we'll probably be confirmed as a value leader, but I cannot tell for sure until the report is published. Let's discuss macro areas for the roadmap. I think this is as well quite important. Then I have a few slides where, I have this presentation, of course, will be shared for your reference. So there's a list of things we have delivered in the latest releases, and that's okay. But I will skip that and go more into a few details about some features, because I think these are not really widely used yet. And I want to know basically also your feedback about it. So enhancing the core capabilities of workload automation. On one side, I would like to say that our product is very full of functionalities. So that's why we are not changing so much in the core capabilities. But there are still, we envision still a few core capabilities that needs to be added. One thing being the change management for the workload automation definitions. What I mean for this? We just introduced a graphic designer that probably you're not still using it. We are kind of working on it yet still. There's this new concept of workspace when you're working on it, and I have slides showing that. But basically what we wanted to introduce, besides enhancing the way you can work with the workspaces, so enhancing the usability and so on, is also to create a flow of approval and promotion of this workspace. Basically, if you have someone directly from the development team, defining their own job streams, you could have they could work on this graphic designer. You could have a flow where these definitions, new definitions or change modifications must be approved by someone. You can still have someone in your team that is the expert of scheduling that reviews the definitions and see whether they comply with your own organization rules. Then once they are approved, they should be able to be promoted from a system to another. So if you have a development system, a test system, a production system, which is basically what is very usual in a customer's organization, it should be able, once they are approved, to automatically deploy the new definitions from moving them from an environment to another, perhaps applying some changes, some rule, naming definition changes, and so on. So we would like to work on that in the next couple of years to provide that kind of functionality out of the box from our user interface. Then we have internal file transfer, and we want to provide a way to also manage file coming from external domains, not just internal file transfer, so basically a file gateway. We're working, there's already an announcement, but not the full functionality or the possibility of nesting job streams. So in your definition referring to the same job stream or other job streams, so the possibility to nest the job stream definitions. And another big functionality that would help our customers would be the tagging, so the possibility to add tags to your definitions and being able to use them either for queries, so as a memo or how to filter jobs and job streams, but also for variable substitution. So this is something that we envision in our future. On the Z side, we are basically right now enabling all the interfaces that we have already for the distributed product to the Z side. That's why we introduced the plan mirroring on the relational database, and we are still working to enhance our APIs to support the graphic designer. We already support the orchestration monitoring right now. Then we are working on cross-dependency enhancements, and you'll see more about that also in the presentation of my colleagues. And we are working to enhance the capabilities of the centric end-to-end, basically to support more modern scenarios where you need to deploy the agent on cloud. And right now, that's not so easy because you need to have a double-way communication with the controller. So we have a plan for basically beginning of next year to deliver the gateway for the decentric agents, meaning that basically you will be able to open just one TCP/IP port for that. So that may end the communication going just from the agent towards the controller and not vice versa. So that should make easier when you have firewalls and other things. So it's already available, this for dynamic agents currently. So you could achieve that by using dynamic domain managers also in the Z configuration. But we want to support directly with decentric agents without the need of installing a dynamic domain manager.
Right.
On the dynamic workload console, we have already renewed the monitoring views, but we need to, that's the last point, we need to add the graphic monitoring, meaning that currently the graphical monitoring available like job stream view, these things are quite old, and we want to renew the technology and make it similar to what the same technology that we use for the graphic designer. And we are still enhancing the OQL syntax to be more and more powerful, and you are doing a presentation on that, so you know very well. And then expanding the automation use cases, that's what I was talking about before, introducing the possibility to invoke GenAI services. That's already possible. It's just not yet there, but it would be possible if you require. If there is a requirement, we can do it. Cloud services, data pipelines, and more about the IBM ecosystem, as you were highlighting. So these are the macro areas we are for our roadmap, basically for our strategy. Now we have more than 130 plugins available on the Automation app. There are a lot of scenarios you can implement through this automation. And we call them low-code, no-code because you need to define a job and not to write a script. So that makes a difference also in terms of maintenance. Many more customers, especially new customers, they ask for a bunch of plugins because they don't want to write scripts anymore. So,
from a previous slide,
yes.
at the user group, there was a plugin for Kafka that was due around now. Do you know if that's been released or?
I don't think so.
Kafka.
You mean as an event trigger or because we have two kinds of plugins, the ones that are for submitting a job, basically, and the ones that are for the event-driven workload automation. So it's a plugin that enables the triggering of something. So for Kafka, maybe it's an event trigger plugin.
So okay. So an event action, you mean?
Yes.
For Kafka. I don't know. It
Or
was
just a monitoring rule.
It wasn't there.
You monitor a Kafka event, and then you trigger something
in workload automation. So yeah, I guess both ways. But
okay.
I mean, it was on the roadmap.
Okay, so probably Ernesto mentioned that because he's the specialist of the automation app. So I'll ask him, but I don't think it's been delivered yet.
It's on the roadmap.
Yeah, it's not on the automation hub yet.
No.
But on the previous slide, it said October-ish. So I guess I'm hoping it's close.
Okay, I'll verify that.
Thank you.
So here comes the list of features. I'd rather skip that and move to these slides. Okay, the graphical designer. If you start looking at this is the kind of interface that should be more familiar, more appropriate for your developers, because it has this drag and drop. So perhaps it's easier for an application developer to build its logic in the job stream in this way. We have Canvas. That's the workspace. Basically, this is a workspace open. You can drag and drop objects from this panel on the left, where you have blocks are generic objects, and assets are already defined objects, so you can drag and drop something that is being already defined in your canvas. You can select the engine. You have the properties panels where you can specify all the attributes of that object. So this is maybe still something not very common to be used because it was just delivered in 10.2.3, but we are still working to complete it. We also, added at the beginning was some objects were missing. Now we added workstations, run cycle groups, resources. So you can do a lot from this graphical interface. And this is actually where we want to implement the concept. I mean, there is already the workspace concept. You can see it here, the workspace.
So you were talking
about
about the graphical designer being targeting developers,
yes,
rather than IWS administrators.
Yes.
Okay, so the traditional interfaces is what the IWS admins would use, and the graphical designer is what you would give to
application developers.
Yeah, okay. Because I know, has anyone tried it? Has anyone had a go at the graphical designer? Not just in the room, but online. I remember Mark Delaney, you spoke about it last time, but you've had a go, haven't you? Okay, no answer.
Anyway,
is it possible to get these kind of views for existing schedules?
Yes.
Yes.
Through the DWC?
Yes. Version of DWS.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd be interested to ask if anybody actually is using the graphical designer, because we're still trying to get to grips with DWC and looking at the new features, and it's really hard to even find anything. Whether we're using it wrong, whether we need a full session on how this is used, but we just go back to command line. We just cannot get to grips with it.
Okay.
Which version of 10.2 are you using, Des?
I don't know without Nigel or Omar. Maybe 10.201. There's no reason why we can't go to the latest and greatest.
But
that's you, Darren. Sorry.
It's recently introduced by 10.2.3. So if you are on 10.1, you don't have it yet.
No.
I will say, I mean, in my role, I don't get involved in the design yet, but I've just literally logged on it now and just played a quick play and created an application in the space of seconds, and it seems really intuitive. I mean, I'm not filling anything in, but I mean, I can see it being useful. Certainly when we're bringing new engineers in who don't have that knowledge.
That's the point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified now when they want to ask me to do anything natively. I can't remember how to do it. I'm not in it all the day. But it gives a tool that allows engineers to work. So I see its value, and I certainly like the feel and look of it. I'm literally just playing with it now. This is the first time I've used it. Literally the first time I've used it. I'm playing with it.
That's why I wanted to show some slides about these new capabilities, because you wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to say. So does that? Are there controls at the end, like so that you can test whether it works, or you can
submit
there's something you can put in before it gets released? So I'm
currently, I mean, we are still working on the announcement on the workspace concept.
Okay.
That's what I was telling. That's where we want to invest to insert an approval flow on the workspace, so that you can have a full cycle, and also the possibility to use it, to deploy your definitions from one installation of the product to another one if you are using a test environment, a production environment, and so on. So that's the picture we are looking at for the next.
That's kind of a Git promotion type process, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not complete, let's
No,
say.
yeah, but I can see that's the next step because that's what it needs, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't want to give it to people and then.
And that's
Yes.
the problem. You're not going to get adoption until you've got.
It would be also, one thing
Make
we were
people
considering
play with
was
it.
also to introduce some kind of rules that you can define, maybe the admin can define, so that there are fields that are predefined or there are rules that they need to follow without any, if you don't follow them, you cannot save or you get an error.
Yeah.
Like enforcement rules, let's say.
Yeah.
So this would be, I think, a great enhancement to support the fact that more users need to do directly their definitions. So we're getting there. Just some advertisement of what we are doing, because this is a long-term investment, of course, because it takes time to renew the interface in this way, but
Yeah, adding all the features that are in the current designer to the graphical designer.
we have
That's
basically
that's still
2,000
missing.
attributes on every object, so it takes time, but we're getting there.
This view is available.
10.2.3 or greater.
Right, okay, because we've just gone to 10.2.4.
Yes,
We
so
are,
you still,
we're
you already have
just
it.
getting there, but we're on it. We're having some certificate issues. But yes, that'd be interesting for us to look at.
Yes.
So thank you.
But
Yeah,
maybe
it's still missing some things that are in the old designer, so you just kind of take that into account.
Do you have to go into the designer to view it? Or there isn't just a view page? So if I wanted to give this to my service management team and then go, there's this job failure, they could go to a console, whack that job and then go, ta-da, here's how it's all splayed out.
yeah, that's
Well,
the
yeah,
orchestration monitor would be better for that.
Yeah,
the orchestration
we're getting there
monitor is
to
there,
have
yeah.
this kind of view also in the orchestration monitor. And
And that graphical
it
layout.
was
would
my
be nice.
next slide, basically. This is the new orchestration monitor. I'm not sure if you're using it or you're using the old monitoring panels, but this is already available. We are introducing more enhancements like multi-selection, but this is quite complete at this point and introduces also the OQL syntax for queries, which enables more complex queries like probably we'll explain later. But here, if you click on the graphical view, let's say, you get the old one, while we want to provide a new graphical view of the same table. I mean, this is like the table, it's always necessary to have a list view, let's say. But then in a graphical view, you would get the same, this kind of view. And if that is what you were looking for,
I think that's why
we're getting there.
our
Probably
service
next.
delivery managers and people like that, they are, you get this, it goes back from history, but in our world, but you've got this hieroglyphical job name and naming convention standard, and everyone goes, well, what does that do? So we've created a whole index in ServiceNow of all our jobs based on our job definitions and streams, which give them context about what that job actually does as an application and as a business process. And that drives also now our ticketing and everything else for our command center. So we built that. I've extracted that from IWS and then dumped that into ServiceNow. The problem is then you have to maintain it, which is another challenge. But it enables us to give business context and what priority should you call out if this job fails, or what's the action for the command center if it fails, etc. All of that.
And certainly you would like to keep all that information directly into the product. So
Ideally, but yeah, it's not that, there's not the capability to do that. But having that view at least would, save it. What's the knock-on effects of that problem?
You have in the new orchestration monitoring also the workflow details right now, besides the multi-selection. So, for example, this is the expansion of a job, file transfer job. So you can see all the file transfer included in the job with the specific information. So these are the workflow details, and these are expanded especially for some specific job types, let's say, depending on the job that you are submitting. And the OQL queries, this is the syntax we introduced. You will go through that more in detail. But these enable, I I've seen requirements, RFEs for decades, where there was this request to be able to execute complex filtering, not just the end filtering that has been already, it's been always available. So now it's possible to do much more complicated queries. A few more announcements. Yeah.
Just before you go on, just to go back to a point that was made earlier, I think in the next user group, maybe what we need to do is to have a deep dive session into the graphical designer.
Yeah.
So that everyone can see it, because it is something for the future. People may not be using it today, just like the orchestration monitor.
Yeah.
But you will do in the future. So let's start learning about it now.
Absolutely.
Hi, Simon, you had a question?
Not a question, it's a statement. Every
Okay.
time you redesign the interface, you make it worse. I'm not joking. You make it worse. There's functions that don't work and they're not easily available. You're wasting the screen canvas. Half of the screen is wasted in almost all of your displays, and unless you've got a massive monitor, you can't see things.
We've had that feedback. I think you need massive resolution on your screen.
If you go back a couple of pages on your presentation, and back again. Well, you see there, you've got half the screen wasted there, and that doesn't work. That is rubbish. You can't search properly on the job names because it doesn't display them all. If you do a search on the assets on the side, it doesn't display the full name, so you can't see what name of a job that you're trying to drag onto the display.
Yeah.
Which panel are you? I mean,
on that screen, if you click on the assets tab,
Yeah, if you go to
and
assets,
you search for a job name, it does not display the whole job name. So if you've got a load of jobs that start ABC 1 2 3 4 5 6 whatever, all you can see is the first bit of the job name. You can't see the full name.
yeah, I think this is what Mark Delaney said to Ernesto last time.
Yeah.
Okay. On the graphical designer or on the orchestration monitor?
No, on the
on
graphical designer. If you press, you see, you've got the assets tab. When you go onto the assets tab, it then tells you what your jobs and your job streams and things like that. And the name that's displayed, it's truncated, so you can't actually see what it is.
You've got a bullet point.
Yeah, there's no way to expand. Go click on assets.
Okay, I can't do
It's
that.
a-
on
No,
the
you
slide.
can't do that.
Oh, you're in a demo. Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Sorry guys, I've got it on my screen here, but yeah,
You can't expand the box out to see the whole name. Plus the other thing, I just went through a POC on this is
Okay.
like he just said, the screen. If the screen is limited, there's no way to resize to get more data.
Yeah.
You know, it has some.
I've got my application areas have got business system identifiers that are 9 characters long. So I've got 1,000 schedules, but as far as the asset list is concerned, it's job A. I've got 1,000 job A's because I can't actually find the rest of it unless I know what it is. And now now with 42 characters,
You should send me this feedback. So
We'll raise an RFE, a request as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only way you can see the whole name is by highlighting it. Well, then, you know, now you're going through every single one. Yeah, there's things like that. Plus, it's just screen list. Like I said, we just went through this system. Just, limit the size. And we just had someone that had, because of their eye issues, had usually big fonts. Oh, it made it really difficult.
So Simon, if you reach out to me afterwards, and I will put in the request for change, I'll put in the one you've mentioned in terms of the assets, but also, some of the other examples that you've got.
Well, I only had a quick play with it, so and I managed to crash it as well. So
yeah. All right. Well,
some things don't change then, Simon.
Let's have a separate. I'll have a separate call with you. We'll go through some of that and we'll put in some enhancement requests, if that's okay.
And in that screen there, what you go, sorry, okay, you go back, read your screen.
Yeah,
You've got
you've lost half
scroll
the screen
there. You've got scrollies on the thing there, and you have to scroll down and scroll across. You can't get it all in one view, and that's been some feedback we've had from our command center that, you know, and the advice we had from one of our consultants was you need a whopping great resolution screen in order to fit it all in, and we don't have that for every, you know, bank of operators. They don't have
a lot
that,
of people work
so-
off their laptop.
Yeah.
And if you
So-
take that into example.
So we need to get rid of the scrollies.
Screen space is very important on a laptop.
Need to get
And
rid
I
of the scrollies.
don't think you can resize the columns either.
Oh, like this is always.
Yeah. That's what it needs.
You can't, this right here.
Also goes
On the
there.
orchestration monitor, you're saying this, right?
I think for this sort of view, but it goes for a lot of the views. They're not.
Okay, please let me know all these, feedback.
Yeah.
Because, of course, we can improve on everything.
I think it's always got to be, I guess, from your gut, from IBM's perspective, it has to, for usability to work effectively. As engineers, we just dig down, shift, move, boom, boom, boom. But again, like I said earlier, we're providing this to be consumed by somebody else, and the person who's consuming that information wants to be able to go to a screen and not have to work out how to navigate through. I mean, if they're going to have, if it's an operator, in my case, if it's my operator, and they're looking at either the monitor workload screen or the orchestration screen, they should be able to throw it up there and have everything they want in one place without the risk of missing it.
Yeah, without
And that's the
trying to
key
work
thing,
it out.
risk of missing the information that could define the decision they're going to make.
I think the best would be to organize, a kind of a review session with some of you.
Yeah, so go through
So UI
our
yeah,
developers, so that
to
they
go through usability issues
Have it
specifically.
a warts and all kind of, like we're no one take offence, but we're just going to either
That's what it
compliment
needs.
or
It needs an
rip it to
open
bits, but
Yeah.
make it something that we can organically come out of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But it makes sense. I mean, maybe we interviewed the wrong people, or we
Yeah.
didn't get enough feedback, since it's a features that are not yet so used by many customers.
I mean, based on the feedback in the room and online, everyone's got the same opinion. So it brings into question, obviously, as when this was released and tested, do those people really have experience of how the product is being used? Because that would then get flagged.
Well, yes, and like I said, since I work with a lot of customers and looking at this, their biggest complaint is just better use of the screen space. It's just, the designers, it looks good, but they're not making good use of the screen space.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Darren's got his hand up.
Darren?
Yeah, sorry. Marco, I don't know if you recall, we had a session about a year ago around our frustrations around DWC. I've got pages and pages and pages and pages of frustration in a Word document that I've been trying to get into some sort of order. If everybody's feeling as frustrated as us, we definitely need a session with everybody on site somewhere where we go through our frustrations, because we find it extremely hard to use. And I'm feeling that a lot of people are feeling the same way. Even the likes of looking at jobs or job streams, that jobs have been rerun. There's no execution times on there. The reruns are in the wrong order. It's all basics like that are so frustrating. The inability to be able to control which columns and the orders that things are in. You have to set up lots and lots of widgets to get stuff in the right order, that the product underneath the covers. So if you're using Command on command line, you're taking that information and you're changing where everything is. Everybody's so used to the command output and how things hang together and the order of jobs. You go into DWC, you cannot tell what's running next, which job was the actual failed one. And we don't want to get into as we said this in the meeting with you, we don't want to get in a slanging session about the product. We have to all get together and make this workable. it's okay when you're showing things like this in very simple environments. But if we have a major fail somewhere in our processing, we're not going to DWC to find that fail and where the problem is. We're going back to web admin or command line. So we all want this to work, but we all have to get together and voice our frustrations, I think.
I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that and we're talking. Nico's talking about it at an admin level, and I look at things from an operations level.
Yeah.
And that immediately is something that will get back to me. It's like, oh, well, I'm not expected. I haven't got that intrinsic understanding of how the schedules come together or put together or designed by the admin. Now I'm trying to find the story. It becomes really difficult sometimes. I don't want it to be all negative. I don't think we should be all negative. I mean, the product has grown so much over the last few years, and there's a lot of positives in it. And I personally like what I think. I'm happy to be shot down. I like what I see. I like what's coming on board. I think we just got to get smarter at how we use it, and probably smarter at how and when new initiatives are deployed, so that operationally focused resources are giving you real feedback before it's released, so that we don't have that kind of maelstrom of opinions coming out.
But I think if there are mistakes in the usability, it's where we need to connect between the users and the developers so that they understand better what are the needs. Because maybe when you use the product as a developer, as a different approach mindset. So, or they are thinking about different ways to do the same things, and so we need to have a communication on that.
But I think, Dan, I think you were saying about having a massive list of stuff. I think probably one thing as a community, we've played with it a few times, but we've never really got into it. I know you set up Slack channels and all sorts of other bits, and we've got the community on site, but we're all guilty of not using it. And that's the problem. There's a whole list of Dan. If you were to share your list with us all here, and we put it in one of those channels of communication that we've got, I bet you everyone, if we all had a conscious effort of responding, we'd all go, oh shit, I've had that problem. Yeah, I've had that. And then the conversation then changes straight away around what the focus is.
Yeah,
I think we're all very good at holding on to our own.
Provo's got a Slack channel.
I was going to say, is there a problem with the feedback process? Because it sounds like Dan's got this great big pages of documentation, and we've all got our gripes. But I think every time you raise an RFE, we just go.
No, RFE and I disagree. There's a place for an RFE, but just putting all those into an RFE is not the place, I think.
Yeah.
I think a discussion has to go to Marco, to Olu, to
Yeah.
Nolan. And then the rest of us, because if it goes in there, it just goes into a database.
Yeah.
And then it's evaluated by a whole team.
With that context.
And
and
we have hundreds.
So
So
there
there
are
are hundreds of very different kind. I mean, there are
Everyone's got a unique
a few about usabilities, but there are, everybody's asking for it.
Yeah, and Marco's team has grown too. So there's not just him. He has
we have
report to him now. Nolan and Olu on the IBM side. So there's a greater team that all need to get involved. Yeah.
Yes.
the only thing I'd say about the advantage of the RFEs though is at least people can vote on things. Well, right? So, and I think that's what, if we do get together and we have these sessions, whether they're face to face, and we can hold it here and we can have a poll about, do you want to do it remotely or do you want to do it face to face? But then having, got the information, let's all vote on it. Like, what's the most important, and I think it sounds like, people are going to agree about kind of like, yeah, this is really frustrating, or these things are the really frustrating ones. Please go and fix them. So I think it would be good. I don't know from your point of view in terms of the development teams, but if there's someone that's involved in the usability side, the UX side,
absolutely,
and thinks about that, and they're having, I guess they are talking to external use, but having them available and hear it, firsthand, if we could make them available in some way.
It's not.
If we ran a session, if we ran a session to run through some of those things, then
I think we need to arrange a workshop, probably remotely, because it's difficult to bring the whole team.
But we might bring
in a room, but
we might bring some of the customers together, and
I think the problems when you do a hybrid is that the audio isn't great and everything else. So it's probably best to do it completely remote sharing screens, but an interactive session, not a presentation. And all we do
Yeah, we can do that through a web conference.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because we're spread all over.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to
Yeah.
arrange it, but
We do
Okay.
need some structure to it. So
let's
yeah,
put
yeah,
this as an action item coming up this, this meeting.
Yeah.
And we will do something about it.
We were, just something picked up what Darren said, we were also a web admin customer, which obviously has been
Nice
appreciated. So everyone loved it, but obviously it's gone out of support. They gave us a license just before they died for a couple of years, but part of our upgrade to 10.2.4, we've switched it off. It seems to work.
Things we're trying to pull in from web admin.
I think for me, web admin gives the admin teams what they like. It's quick, it's responsive, the views, the dashboards are all really, really good. They get to the information they want really quickly. But I don't think in an evolving world it would be, that's probably why they've depreciated it, because it won't advance to the GUIs and everything else that's expected.
Yeah, they couldn't keep up with the new job types.
Yeah, and things like that. But there's a balance there somewhere to look at what they did so well.
Right.
And
features in it that were good, yes.
And the layouts and everything else and the speed.
I know Mark.
We've already done that session.
Yeah.
As a follow-up from one of these, I think it was 2 years ago, possibly 3. I have no concept of time anymore. But a few years ago, that's exactly what we did. And it was actually Nigel from YBS that demoed web admin and the features that he liked in it.
I was hoping
and there were other people that collaborated at the same time. And
I was hoping that the new enhancements that we did on the UI would at least reduce a little bit the gaps. But we need probably to reconvene looking at the new UIs that we are providing, and see whether there is something that we can do to,
Yeah, because the orchestration monitor was meant to have some of those features in, and it does, and there's new features going in that are really useful.
I must admit, I do look at my fair lie to GUI. When I look at things like our company just brought Fabrics in for our clients. And and appreciate the shareware for a massive community of people investing in it and the thing. But actually, the UI was the monitoring tool. I appreciate was a large automation scope in it, but it's simple. You overthink what the user needed to get to the information. I think that is something we have to always take stock. You guys have invested heavily in the format that we've got now. We've had for the last few versions. And I understand it, and obviously the engine behind it, the code behind it is immensely complex to deliver. But I guess there's always a point where you've got to say, is this still now what everyone else is doing, and is that what people are expecting? And at the end of the day, simplicity has to come first.
Yes.
Okay.
That was exactly the feedback, wasn't it? Yeah. Because it was, if you can't do it in 2 clicks, then it's not worth doing. And what most people were finding with the DWC is you needed a 6-click minimum in order to get to the information that something like web admin would provide in 2 clicks. And it's those sorts of efficiencies that will drive scale in terms of IWA usage, or DWC usage. Okay, I'm still in time from the next session, so I will be very fast with this.
Good,
yeah.
Don't worry.
This is just a recap. We already spoke of the main areas of interest for the future, so I'll skip that. And I'll concentrate on what's coming next release that is planned for end of November. So we are going to support a new Oracle database version. It's 23. There was this announcement of reintroducing the support for FIPS compliance. I don't think you are interested in that. But anyway, we are competing because there was missing the part on Kubernetes. And there is some announcements in integration with Instana that will be shown in a few minutes from my colleague, Julia. On Z, we are expanding the matching criteria for cross dependencies. And also here, Cecilia will explain that in a little bit. Intelligent just to job selection is something that we are working on with the just2 team. It's a way to optimize the execution of the jobs on Z. So this is a quite interesting feature, but we'll talk about it more in the future because this is something that we need to exploit directly with the just2 team to explain the possibilities of that and more integrations. So, okay, I think we can close the session here.
Yeah.
I think it was very useful. A lot of feedback and comments, and thank you for that.